Live NFL trivia every Wednesday night on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come show off your football knowledge for a chance to win cash prizes. Check the link in the description to find out more. And now, on with our feature presentation. Sometimes, it can be incredibly tough doing a video every single day. As crazy as the history of the NFL is, sometimes you struggle researching. You dig through newspaper archives and you can't find anything noteworthy or out of the ordinary or that you didn't know already. You find a good story, only to find out that no footage of said incident exists, so you can't use it. It can be a lot, and more often than not, the story you see each morning was not decided until maybe 10 hours before the video goes live. In other words, when you put out 350 history videos a year, it's not going to be smooth sailing finding 350 stories. And sometimes, the football gods drop an absolute gift from the sky. They give you something that you have to cover, because by God, you've never seen anything like it before in your life, and probably will never see anything like it again. This is one of those plays where if you were paying attention on Sunday, you knew I was going to do a Dumb Decisions episode on it. There was no way we were getting around that fact. Yes, it's low-hanging fruit, but come on. How could I not talk about this? So with that, I want to thank Joe Judge for this absolute gift. Because in what has been an absolutely disastrous season, where Judge has made the Giants a laughingstock on a weekly basis, he seemingly saved his worst for last. Before I talk about the play in question, for those of you who are not watching this in the immediate aftermath of the game, let's set the scene. January 9th, 2022. It's week 18 of the NFL season, and we have an NFC East matchup on our hands between the New York Giants and the Washington football team. On paper, this is a pretty insignificant game. Both of these teams are out of the playoff hunt and have nothing to play for. Still, this could be a pretty big game for Giants head coach Joe Judge. As of this recording, Judge is still employed as the coach of the team, and I have no idea whether or not it's going to stay that way. Heck, by the time you're watching this video, he may no longer be the coach of the Giants. So in that regard, this is a big game for him. Get embarrassed, and your job status might be a lot shakier than it would be if you end the season on at least somewhat of a high note. Although, considering the fact that the week before, they actually finished the game in the year of our Lord 2022 with negative passing yards, it's already pretty shaky. In other words, Judge enters this game on thin ice, and really cannot afford to do anything stupid. But we'll get to that. The game starts off well for Washington, as they go on an 11-play drive which eats up the first 6 minutes of the clock and results in football kicker Joey Sly hitting a 23-yard field goal to give the football team their first points of the football game. The Giants respond by going on a 6-minute drive of their own, which results in a turnover on downs after the Giants call an absolutely atrocious play on 4th down. The fact that this was nowhere close to the worst coaching decision made by the Giants on this day is extremely telling. The teams then proceeded to exchange punts on drives that went absolutely nowhere. The next hour of real time was an absolute bore for anyone watching, as there was absolutely nothing to write home about in this meaningless Week 18 game. However, we'll jump ahead to midway through the second quarter, when Washington punts it away and the ball is downed inside the 3-yard line. At this point, the Giants, who have been sputtering all season, but especially for the past month, are pinned deep. While a score would be nice, and while a long drive would be somewhat of a dream, just getting out of this situation is the goal. Hopefully, you can get a first down and at least give yourself some breathing room. That's looking incredibly unlikely, however, after a pass on first down and a quarterback sneak on second down. Now you have third down. I wonder what the Giants have drawn up in this situation. Maybe a quick developing pass play, like a slant or a screen, where you can get the ball out quickly and get yards after the catch. Maybe a run with Saquon Barkley just to play it on the safe side. Alright, Joe Judge, surprise me. What do you have for me?
At the half. Interesting formation.
I mean, really, you're at the 4-yard line?
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something that looked bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something that looked awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work, and sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of New York Giants head coach Joe Judge. I think Joe Judge is the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. The fact that the Giants have this poor of a record, and yet according to Judge, not a single player has brought a golf club into the locker room is incredible. The fact that he was able to avoid getting fired in 2018 as an assistant with the New England Patriots, who were, hang on, let me check my notes here, 6-2 at the midway point of the season, is remarkable. The fact that he has players who are calling him who wish they were in New York right now speaks volumes to how amazing he's been with the Giants. I feel like I'm committing a crime by criticizing this living legend, and maybe I just don't understand the genius of Judge. But I'm going to present my side of the story here. So with that being said, let's take a look at why calling a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9 is a really bad idea. Now just the premise of this alone is incredibly stupid, as everyone has already harped upon. but I'm going to find a way to make this already incredibly dumb decision look even dumber. For starters, when you call a play on 3rd down and less than 10, the goal is usually always to pick up the first down. Let's assume that Joe Judge was playing for the first down here by calling a quarterback sneak. How many quarterback sneaks can you think of off the top of your head that went for at least 9 yards? How many quarterback sneaks actually picked up a significant chunk of yardage? That's not the point of a quarterback sneak. In the over 100-year history of the NFL, of which I have watched a ton of footage and done extensive research on, I can only think of one quarterback sneak off the top of my head that gained double-digit yards. Maybe there's more out there that if you know of, you can leave a comment on down below. But the odds that this happens are so minuscule that they're not even worth calculating. I always like to think of what had to happen for a play to work when breaking down whether it was a dumb decision or not. The more unrealistic it is, the more likely I am to say it was dumb. And considering all of that, I'm fairly certain there was no way this was ever going to work. But let's go even further. When Joe Judge was asked about why he called the QB sneak, he gave 2 reasons. The first reason was that he didn't want a repeat of Chicago. For some context, in Week 17, the Giants got called for a safety after a run at the 1-yard line by Devontae Booker got stuffed. Now, if this was at the 1-yard line, I completely get it. But at the 4-yard line? You're scared of a repeat of what happened the previous week, even though you're nowhere near the same spot? That's like saying I was scared to try a 50-yard field goal because the previous week, the kicker missed from 60. You're comparing apples and oranges here by trying to equate running a play at the 1-yard line when you are truly backed up to running a play at the 4-yard line when you at least have some breathing room. If they didn't want to call a pass, I also get it. Especially when you have a 3rd-string quarterback who is not very good, has a noodle arm, and makes the Giants the worst team in football, I completely understand running the ball here. If only the Giants had a good running back on their team who was the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft that they could have given the ball to instead of calling a quarterback sneak. Oh wait, they do! I looked at every single run that Saquon Barkley has had as a member of the New York Giants, and wanted to see how many times he picked up at least 9 yards, which is what he would have needed for the first down, and how many times he lost at least 4 yards, which is what would have given the Giants the dreaded safety that Joe Judge wanted to avoid. I should note that during the game before this play, Barkley had 5 rushes, and all 5 of them went for positive yardage. So even if we're only looking at this game, Barkley did not have anything that would make you think that Washington was going to stuff him for a loss of 4. Still, entering this 3rd and 9, Barkley had 653 rushing attempts in his career. Of those 653 rushing attempts, 81 of them went for 9 or more yards. That's over 12%. Obviously, those are not great odds. You have a 1 in 8 chance if you give it to Barkley from 9 yards out that he'll get enough for the first down. However, I'll take those odds over the odds of trying to pick up 9 yards on a freaking quarterback sneak! That's like asking me if on a par 5, I should tee off with a 9-iron or a putter. Sure, teeing off with a 9-iron isn't great, and sure, the odds that I have a good score on the hole are pretty slim when I'm teeing off with such a short club, but I at least like my odds way more than teeing off with a putter, which I know, barring an act of God, will not work. Now let's look at how many rushing attempts Barkley had that went for -4 yards or worse, which is what would have been needed for the safety. Want to know how many of those 653 rushing attempts did that? 23! 23 rushing attempts. That is 3.5%. Joe Judge was so scared of something that has only happened 3.5% of the time that he decided to not only forego a play that worked over 12% of the time, but decided to call a play in its place that had no shot at picking up a first down, since you can probably count on one hand the number of quarterback sneaks that actually went for at least 9 yards. If you want the odds to get even funnier, Barkley had 156 rushing attempts in 2021 before that sequence, and of those 156, only 3 of them went for -4 yards, 1.9%. I just don't get why if you don't want to call a passing play, you don't give it to Barkley, who at least gives you a chance of keeping the drive alive. But as bad as all of that is, and as bad as all the statistics make this play look, trust me, it gets even worse. Because the other reason that the Giants and Joe Judge decided to do this was because he wanted to create more space to punt it on 4th down. He gave up that entire drive and waved the white flag starting on 2nd down because he wanted more space to punt. Why? You're 4-12! You're awful! And you're throwing in the towel so you have 2 more yards to punt? What do you possibly have to lose? The game? Newsflash, you're doing a pretty good job of that anyway! Who are you, Buddy Ryan with those 2nd and 3rd down punts? At least when he did it, as stupid as it was, at least the yardage that the Eagles needed to pick up a first down for was ridiculously long, as it was 2nd or 3rd and a mile. He didn't do it when it was only 9 yards away from the first down line. Just imagine having that little faith in your players and in your team that you're openly admitting that you don't think they can pick up a first down and you're surrendering. Why would anyone want to play for a guy that does that? It just doesn't make any sense. Again, at the time of this recording, Joe Judge is still employed as the head coach of the New York Giants, and I don't know if he's coming back or not. But if he does, and for the record, the Giants would be idiots to bring him back, I don't know how anyone can play for him after that call. I don't know how Judge could look his players in the eye and say that he believes in them and believes that they're good when he's doing nonsense like this, like waving the white flag on 3rd and 9 because he was so scared that his star running back was going to lose 4 yards, even though all prior history says that he was not going to do this. It's pathetic. It's cowardly. It's stupid. And Giants fans deserve better than to put up with someone this incompetent running the ship. So what do we learn from all this? Don't call a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9. Just don't do it. It's not going to work. You're not going to get the yardage you need. You're going to lose the trust and confidence of all of your players if you haven't already. And even if you don't want to throw the ball, you have significantly better alternatives that can actually help you out. Quarterback sneaks on 3rd and 2 if you're not going for it on 4th down are kind of dicey in terms of their success rate. So to do it on 3rd and 9, congratulations. You might have made the worst call of the season. And you might have made a call so bad that it sends you packing and makes you never coach again. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gator 9 merchandise by going to jg9shop.com, and be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot, and be sure to check out Twitch every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL Trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at JaguarGator9 and subscribe to 60-Second NFL History on YouTube. To see highlight videos of players throughout the history of the NFL, subscribe to JG9 Highlights. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.